Hello, welcome to Floyd Models Kit Review Time. Today we've got Airfix's brand new 1/72nd scale Boeing Fortress Mark.III, or the Flying Fortress as we know, or was it just the Fortress back then? This is basically the early version of the Fortress, and I think a handful of them were actually shipped over to the UK to be basically evaluated to see how they were. There was a lot of shortcomings with it, that's to be honest. It wasn't exactly successful, so actually it went back, redesigned, up armoured, and then it turned into what we know today as the beautiful Flying Fortresses that we see now. But again, really nice that Airfix have taken on obviously the RAF version quite nicely, but also just not the standard G version, which is also available from them, quite frankly. So as we can see on the box, beautiful box art, usual thing we come to expect with these. You can actually buy these as prints as well. They are absolutely beautiful. Got a couple of different versions down in here as well. One with a glass dome, it looks like, down at the bottom, and then one with the blacked out one as well. So a couple of looks around on here. Usual thing, we've got a couple of little CAD type images down on here like that. We got says here, and it's a proper sticker as well, weirdly, next to the other one, saying it is a fully licensed product. Okay, so your kit number for this one is A08018, okay, on there. And then down on here we got a couple of the different ones down in here. Actually, it's the G version, I take it all back, but obviously it's the Mark.III version of the G down on there as well. So what we've got here is number 214 Squadron, and then actually we've got number 100 Squadron as well, all right, down in there. So this particular box is still sealed. I have never looked in here yet. Okay, so we have our little tabs just to open up here, and then hopefully we can find our way in. So, horrible way, and I know I say it each time, but I really distaste just chucking it in like this. We know they have separate bags inside for the clear parts, which is a step up, but still, I call it good old-fashioned sprue rub. Not a fan of it, as we know. Right, let's just get rid of those bits. So, usual things, we will start in the instructions. We've got a small Decals sheet down there, and we've got a pull-out stencil sheet, and then obviously we've got the markings one again. Okay, so usual thing with Airfix now, they have sort of upgraded their instructions. If you haven't been around for a while and you haven't bought any Airfix, you'll probably see it's a little bit different. Quite nice how they colour coordinate the important parts so you can see exactly what's going on with them. So usual thing down in here, we're working straight into the cockpit area, or in this case obviously the flight deck. So we've got seats, power units, yokes, controls, usual things being fitted down into those. So it does have a full interior detail as well. Okay, then over on this side we've got sidewalls with a little bit of detailing down on there. Then obviously we've got one of the formers going through for the nose area being fitted through, instrument panel being going on, and then straight back into the all-important business end of the bomb bay of obviously the B-17 going through in there. Again, full detail on that one. Then obviously more details going through, wing spars being added onto it, giving this a great structural strength and detail all at the same time. Then down in here we've got actually the radio equipment down in the back end obviously being fitted on. Then we've got the nose section being fitted to that main spar. Okay, more instruments and various tools being fitted on there, some seats being fitted through, and everything else down to the back end. Obviously this is going to be the waist area down on there. Then one would assume this is probably the floor section running through. Great, looks like very nice actually, details right the way through. So we've got ribbing and forming detail and everything else like that. Usual thing, if you are using one of their stands or anything at all, opening up some holes for there. A couple of clear parts being fitted in as we make our way through, and then depending on versions of that, I imagine you've got to be opening up various tabs and holes and things like that to fit all of those down in there. So we've got the aerial system being fitted down at the bottom as well. Then it's a case of maintaining this entire interior section down into the actual side fuselage itself. Same with the rear. Now obviously this one being an earlier B-17, it does have the sort of standard fuselage sides, so you've got a plug being fitted down there to sort of, you know, get rid of the ball turret. Down at the back end we've got the enclosed in as well for the tail wheel section, and then we've got the gun racks and the various things being fitted down in there for the actual waist gunners. Okay, down into the business end, the front, so we've got actually the navigator, and then obviously the bomb aimers positions being done as well, recreated beautifully. Again, a couple of little holes to open up, things like that. Okay, then it's a case of squeezing it all together. So we have got actually a movable rudder system, which is another nice touch, and then two halves going together, and then probably getting out the old filler time. Okay, and then it's straight over into the engine. So we're working on these gorgeous engine systems being fitted in there. So we've got various air intakes and scoops and plugs, ailerons being fitted in there. Again, we've got some things here saying 12 degrees of movement on those, and then putting those in there like that. Really nice indeed. Same on the other side right the way through. So again, we've got things like cooling areas being fitted down into there as well. And then obviously exactly the same, fitting them in and then sandwiching the wings together. And then actually putting the wings on. Because we've got these gorgeous wing spars taking all that weight, we should end up with hopefully a very nice sort of surface detail area in here. And you can see how that wing spar is going to fit right the way through just down here. Then it's over to the tail planes, fitting those on. And again, great thing about this kit, we've got movable control surfaces right the way through. We've got the superchargers being fitted down onto the top of the actual engine themselves. And obviously it's talking about the various ones and sizes because there is differences between the different engines. And then actually a nice front end anyway, detailed engine as we look at it down on there. And again, exactly the same on the other side. So we've actually got, I presume these are sort of supercharger coming in off the front, off the back, or poking from the back, I should say, coming through to the front, putting those through, very nicely done as well. Choice of cowl flaps by the looks of it, you can have them open or close, again, really nice touch as well to have those, same with all four engines. Tail wheel system being fitted onto that one, so that's being pushed on, no problem with that at all, right the way through. Then the main gear as well, nicely obviously represented. You can have it actually in the gear up position, obviously, or in the gear down position if you're going to go in flight. Again, really nice touch with that as well. Just looking. And obviously if you are doing it gear up, you want your flat spot rotated round and out of the way. Okay, so same on the other side, various things being fitted into that one. Wheels being fitted, as you can imagine, for the down gear. Bomb bays, usual thing, open or close again, really nice touch with that one. And then we got the tail system for the tail turret, so obviously fitting that one again. Looks like it's all in clear, so then you can mask up the windows and then spray it as a whole once it's all in there. Very nice as well that actually we've got the ammunition feed down in there as well, so that's actually quite a nice touch with those. Okay, front end, so obviously the all-important radar on the front. Okay, so we've actually got the search radar down here at the front, okay, being fitted down, and then obviously we've got the gun system for the actual TUP gun, and then obviously we've got the waist guns being fitted, and they actually clamp in to the sides and from the bottom as well, which is another nice touch. Crew access door being fitted, okay, same for the other side, and then another gun on there, and then we've got a couple of little lump scoops and air type things being fitted down in there as well. I'm just wondering if they're the actual empties chute coming out the bottom. Shovel them out. Lights, nice detailed lights, landing lights being fitted down in there, and then, which is always going to be the problem with all B-17s, it's actually doing this areas down in here with all the clear work being fitted in and this paneling. Just taking your time, test fitting, making sure you're all good with that, so you've got the various ones being fitted in. Then over to on the back, to be honest, pretty much finishing off. So we've got aerial down at the back, props fitted on, then we've got a couple of communication aerials being fitted down on there, and then your props going on, and it's job done. Actually, again, it's one of those things where Airfix have sort of taken the time to sort of upgrade everything, shall we say, and things like that. We just move that one out of the way. Okay, so we have nice clear sheet here. So again, your standard sort of, you know, dark earth, dark green, and the black underside. Very nice. We've got a little bit of nose art on there as well. So again, depending on which version you're going to be doing this one, you can see it down on there with the grey nose or the totally blacked out one. This one doesn't actually have any nose art on that at all. Okay, very nice indeed. Again, nice markings on this one. Funny seeing a B-17, as I would call it, in Lancaster markings. Okay, stencil data call out right the way through, pretty much as you would expect. Not over the top, a couple of bits around the prop, a couple of bits on the underside as well, but it's not obviously covered too much in there, so that's your sort of generic stencil data. Okay, the decals. Now the decals always were horrible back in the day, but these days, fortunately, Airfix pay a little bit more than sort of, you know, 3 and 8 for a set of decals. They can be a little bit flat, but they're not as flat as they used to be a few years ago. But the only trouble is the carrier film can be quite flat. So on something like this, it's not so bad because you're going to be flat coating it anyway. But generally, they are all pretty nice. Yeah, these tiny little ones down in here, we were speaking about decals and tiny ones. Are you going to use them? Yeah, they all seem to be all okay. Good, solid colour, all in register. No problem with any of those at all. Right, okay, the plastic. So, taking your giant bag of sprues that are rubbing together, causing scratches and frictions and various things. I don't know why I'm using one of these. I hate those things with a vengeance. Okay. So, as you can see, a big old box with not a lot of amount of sprues in it. Clear parts, I'll tell you what, we'll look at those last. Okay, so that's, I'll tell you what, if we work this upside down, it makes for a bit interesting. Okay, so as we can see, if we just pull this camera in just a little bit, there we go. So, as we can see, it's not a massive aircraft, and like we've said before, my only thing is I would have loved to see a little bit more riveting. I know this is 1/72nd scale, but we know Airfix are capable of doing it and other manufacturers are, but unfortunately we are devoid of all sort of riveting detail. If we move into the close cam, as you can see, panel lining's all here, but riveting is missing. And like I said when we reviewed the other the later Flying Fortress as well, with the American markings that Airfix do, it does just need it. I think it really could do with it. Don't get me wrong, I think it's very nice. The profiles all look nice, it's all very good. But I just think when you've gone to this much detail on the inside, you can't do it on the outside. So no, it just seems a little bit odd from that point of view. That said, it's not a deal breaker. It wouldn't be rocket science to re-rivet this one. You know, a couple of Rosie the Riveter passes and you're there and it's done and all the rest of it. But again, it's just a little bit odd how it doesn't have it. Generally those we can see, the recessed panel lining isn't the sharpest in the world, but it's very adequate for this type of scale. I think I would like it just to be a little bit more, I don't know, a little bit thinner, a little bit more Edard-like, if we could say that, but generally it's all there. The framing down on the inside actually is pretty nice indeed. From a looking in point of view, it's what you need everywhere, so it gives nice internal details. There isn't too many ejector pins in amongst all of this, and where they are, which is quite nice, they tended to get them like in these areas in the middle and things like that, so it's not actually affecting anything. And because they're recessed, it won't be a problem when you put things in. But you might notice we got one in here that's tucked out of the way, we've got one in here that's tucked out of the way. Okay, so it's not like they're blindingly obviously like the old days, we just stick one right in the middle. Okay, so from that point of view, it's pretty good. As you can imagine, it's almost a mirror on both sides. Okay, the wing surface detail, again, it's just a little bit lacking when you see it like this. Okay, it's nothing too bad, but unfortunately perhaps you would like a little bit more detail. You can see it when you catch it in the light. If you do it with the close cam, you can see very nice recessed details with the exhaust down the back here. But again, I think it could probably warrant a nice little run over with a little bit of riveting detail on those. Down on the inside, no problems at all. We don't really have any flash or sink marks or anything else in these. Quite nicely done, no problem. Exactly the same really goes for the underside. As you can see it down in here, good detail, but again, whip round with a rivet. We do have these, which again, this is what we're talking about, and I know a lot of people say you just harp on about it and all the rest of it, but this is why you should have them separately bound. This is twisting and pulling that's going to make a small nick in the end here, which is then going to show through when you sandwich it together. So either don't have these on here or separate bag it, and that'll get rid of that problem. But again, no sink marks down in here that we can really see or anything else. On the inside, again, it's pretty bland, because you're going to build up details on the inside, but it looks like all the sort of mating surfaces, very nice, very smooth, no problems at all. Okay, so down in here we've got the tailplanes, no problems at all. You can see very nice details on these, and as we look around sort of closer on this one, you can see again a little bit of riveting would be great, but what we do like is this. So we've got that nice sort of texture just down in here, so we've got the ribbing coming through. Very nice indeed. These are actually the engine intakes. Okay, so very nice, no seams or anything in those at all, and again, nice little bit of raised rivet detail just on these ailerons as well. The bottom sides of the ailerons, very nicely done with those as well, and these smaller parts at the top, no problem whatsoever. And again, very, very nice indeed, as you can see coming through. Okay, one of the areas we do like about this is this wing spar system, and again, this is truly done like a real spar is as well on these. It actually is very, very nice indeed. Bomb bay obviously in the closed position and the formers and things, but generally, as you can see, it's just about what you need in there, no problems at all. And then we've got the actual bomb rack sides, things like that. The other former down on here, we've actually got the bombs, which are molded in halves unfortunately, but there we go. And these are a little bit clunky the way that the actual sprue tabs are attached to these, but again, it's easy cleanup. It's just a snip and you're good to go. The bomb racks themselves and the center one down on here, and then again, no problems. Everything on the blind side has ejector pins, but they're tucked out of the way anyway. And again, even down on the bottom here, we have got detail on the inside of the bomb bay that you'll really never see. Okay, No problems with that as well. Okay, so down on here, quite an interesting sprue as you can see, because we've got lots of little bits of detail going down on here. So we've got the floor, we've got the formers going through the tail wheel area, the flight deck sort of bottom. Again, this, as you can see, this is why we don't like it. Classic example here on the close-up. See how this has all been sort of pushed in and snapped? Mine is actually physically snapped here, where again, if it wasn't in a bag being chucked round together, this type of stuff wouldn't happen. Okay, so you know, Airfix, let's spend another 20p on bags and separate bag it, and we'll be absolutely fine. Okay, but generally, as you can see, the guns has had a little bit of a knock as well. We've got guns coming off the sprues. This one's a little bit bent, but they're all okay. They can all be straightened up. We've got those coolers, the actual cooling reservoirs for the engines as well, so they're down in there. We have got other things in here, so I think this is actually the chin turret for the down, and this guy down in here. But for different versions and things. But again, the seats, all the usual things down in here, no problems whatsoever. The small parts for the gear as well, very nicely molded in. Can't see any problems. Okay. So on this little guy, as you can see, we've got walls. Again, sprues are all coming off, but that's because they're being hit to death. We do have the tyres with the flat spots in there. Again, very nicely done. So control yokes, things like that, all up here. All the instrumentation, all very, very nicely done on those. And again, down in the gear wells, the gear doors, various things on the underside, just like that. And then down in here, on the blind side, no real cleanup. Snipping them off quite close and carefully, be absolutely fine. All the ejector pins as well are all recessed as well, which is a really nice touch. Okay, so over here, as you can see, this is actually one of the, obviously it's a sprue identical to the last kit, but we'll talk about it again. It's actually got really nice detail for the face of the engine with the pots and things like that. So when you're looking down in here, obviously, you know, we've got the supercharger areas that's going to go into the engine, the backs of them, but these little guys down in here, if you catch them in the light, they are really very nicely done. And then over here, we've got the difference in the actual cowl flaps and things like that. So these are the open ones here, but further down you can see you've got the flat one. So we've got the 4 closed cowl flaps or the 4 open. Again, it gives it that nice little bit of movement down in there. Okay, and even down here you can see the pots are actually detailed both sides, even though you're only ever going to see one. Okay. This sprue over here, again, a little bit generic with different versions down in here, as you might imagine, but we've got the props, no problem with those at all. Various things for the props, things like that. We've got the engine parts, we've got the superchargers, all these different areas down in here, and some of these lumps, bumps, and hanging things and all the rest of it is for different sort of versions of fortresses that are out there. But generally, we have a quick whiz round, you can see, really nice on all of those, no real problems at all. Indeed. Okay, so last up, we got another set of wheels. This is the sprue for this particular version, so some of those you're not going to do it. As you can see down in here, we've got different types of tyres. So down in, you can got the various lumps and bumps, the gun parts, the things like that, and then again we've got the aerials and we've got the radar for on the nose as well, which is obviously kit specific, and the blanking plate just here, which is going to be actually down in there in the belly. So from that point of view, that is our sprue, which is really for this particular version, so keeping that one. Okay, clear parts. Okay, so on the clear parts, we've got, as you can see, various ones down in here. As you can probably see, really, really clear. So let's have a wander around. As you can see, no problems at all. Airfix really nailed this. These are actually very, very nicely done indeed. Okay, so we've got obviously the side walls, we've got the interiors as well, so if you wanted to, you can actually then mask these both sides and then spray them up, obviously with your internal colour and then your outside colours as well. But generally very, very nice, clear, crisp moulds and various things. We've got the rear part here down for the rear tail, things like that. We spoke about it before, to be honest, in the original review, and said that that is actually beautifully done and probably one of the best clear part sprues I've seen on any Airfix kit to date, because it is actually that nice. So there we go. Again, Probably something more for the British, but obviously if you are from sort of, you know, different countries, things like that, and you wanted sort of first and stuff, it's a little bit of a hark back to obviously the early days when obviously America was getting involved with the war. They were on a lot of Lend-Lease programs, so we were getting these things, and a little bit like the Mustang, it came to us, we found it warranted, needed something, and then luckily it came back like the Mustang did with the Merlin engine, like this one did, up armoured and up gunned and everything, to be a little bit better, and then carried on with a fantastic career through the entire war. So if you did want an early Watt version, that is definitely the one to get. So that is the Airfix 1/72 scale Boeing Flying Fortress Mark.III, also available, don't forget, for members at a discounted price through the PMM store as usual. So there we go, happy modelling, take care, and I'll see you with the next review.